You know, those were the days. Dan Carter, Ma Nonu, Conrad Smith, Christian Cullen. Gosh, we had the backline to set the world on fire. Where are all those players gone? We just haven't got that at the moment, and we need to find it, because that's what's lacking from this team. And despite being number one in the world at the moment, I think this All Black team could be so much better. I've just watched a press conference from Argentina with Scott Robertson, and he was asked a question about Billy Proctor, and it made me come outside into my favourite park and make this video. So let's talk about the All Black backline and what we're all thinking about that at the moment. Let's get into it. So here we are, 18 months into Razor Robertson's reign as the head coach of the New Zealand All Blacks, and what are we thinking at the moment? Well, I've got to say, I want to give credit always where credit is due, and I think the forwards are starting to look like a world-class pack that can take on any team in the world and do very, very well against them. So I see a lot of positives in that forward group, and with the imminent return of Tamaiti Williams and Wallace Satiti coming back into that team. The only really sad news out of Argentina this week has been Patrick Tuipulotu is on a plane heading back to New Zealand with a fracture to the face, which is not good, and he's going to require an operation. So that's bad news, because Patrick has a lot of bad luck in that black jersey, doesn't he? He just seems to pick up injuries, and he's playing so well for the All Blacks as well. But I'm here to talk about the back line, and I listened to Razor talking about Billy Proctor in particular when he was asked a question about Billy Proctor's performance, and he was really erring on the side of, we have to give him time, he's got the skill set, he's just got to get into the groove of being able to play his game at test level. And I find myself sitting there shaking my head, because I think it goes deeper than that. I think Billy Proctor needs help from the All Black coaching lineup, and in particular Jason Holland, who is the All Blacks backline coach. And I think this is starting to look like a problem in terms of the way the backline is being coached, because I just don't think it's bringing out the best of these players. We know these players have their ability, and every single video that gets dropped about the All Blacks, we're talking about Rieko Ioane, Anton Leonard-Brown, Billy Proctor, Beauden Barrett. We're always talking about these same people. And Beauden Barrett's had over 130 odd caps for the All Blacks, and we're still talking about whether or not he's the right guy at number 10 to get this All Black backline away. But what's happening outside of him, that's my biggest concern, really. I think that Barrett has to shoulder some of the responsibility on how flat he stands on a lot of the occasions. But if you see what Thomas Albanos did in that last game against the All Blacks last weekend, he was outstanding. And he was able to get the ball out to his backline to at least give them a chance. And I thought the All Black defence was good out wide last weekend. I really did. I think they stopped the Argentinians on a lot of their attacking raids. And we didn't see the likes of Sinti and Choco Barris and perhaps Esgro and Delgi do the damage that I thought they could have done to the All Black team. So you've got to give credit to the defensive line, to the All Blacks, but we're just not seeing that creativity, line break, and I think it's because of the way the All Blacks are playing. So what's the answer? And I really wanted to make this video today to hear a lot more from you as well, not just to share my opinions, because we've got those players that are in the wings like Leroy Carter, and I know a lot of you are thinking that he's the guy to bring in with sheer pace that can beat the man on the outside and do something that Rieko Ioane's not doing, as an example. And I saw a very good point made by Mills Miliaina on the breakdown show in New Zealand the other day, where he was talking about Riko's playing like a centre but on the wing at the moment. He's coming back inside. He's looking to set up that second phase ball. He's not looking to beat his man on the outside and to use his pace and to get down the field. And that comes down to self-belief. It comes down to the way the All Blacks are playing and how they're setting the ball up. And if you looked at the try that Ratama scored last weekend, you'll see that Will Jordan went through the gap and created that break. And he had two options. He had Sevu Reece on the outside on the right, and he had Cortez Ratama on the inside, who were literally running parallel lines, and he had the choice either to give it to Reece or to give it to Ratama. He came back inside gave it to Ratama. And I'm not reading anything into that saying that Reece was under pressure and Jordan wasn't going to give him the ball. But it was just interesting that I thought that Will Jordan was always looking at the inside to Ratama for that pass and not to go out wide. So yeah, I'm starting to think whether or not the All Black coaching group in the backline is part of the problem here, because we've been seeing the whole same process now for quite a long time. And with the forwards doing so well, it's a shame that we're not seeing the kind of back play that we're used to seeing from the All Blacks. So, you know, last year, if you watch my videos, you'll remember me being a pretty strong advocate of keeping Will Jordan on the wing last year. And that's because he just scores tries all the time on the wing. And there's no doubt about it, he's very good at fullback, so don't get me wrong on that one. But what about putting Jordan back to the wing and bringing Ruben Love into fullback and just giving us that other dimension at the back three, and then looking at what we can do on that left wing, and hopefully Caleb Clark's going to be the answer there. But for me, I think we need to make a change in the way that we look at our attack. And if Ruben Love is going to move in and be number 10 in the future, then obviously giving him game time, say at 15, is going to help him grow and get experience, particularly running counter-offensive balls from that 15 position. And I think having Will Jordan there to link up with on the wing, I think that could be a really good solution for the All Blacks and also for Ruben Love's career, rather than him being missing out at the moment on the team or not getting on the bench. So, you know, a lot of talk about Geordie Barrett as well. He came back from Leinster and he's playing the rugby of his life and all the rest of it. Well, last weekend I didn't really see anything exceptional from Geordie Barrett. And then outside, Billy Proctor struggled, and again I think it's because of the way the All Blacks are playing. So yeah, there needs to be changes, but at the same time, Razor's got this conundrum where he wants to win games all the time. He's being pushed into making changes because of injuries predominantly, and it doesn't seem that these players... Look at Billy Proctor last year, right? He sat on the bench for the majority of the time last year. I complained about it all the time. And if we'd played Billy a lot more last year, we would already have the answer now whether or not Billy Proctor is the guy that we need to continue to invest in. But at the moment, that's what they're doing in 2025. So we've missed a year, as far as I'm concerned, on answering the question about Billy Proctor. Now, we can't afford to keep doing that as we head towards 2027. So for the likes of Ruben Love and Tavata Vanawai, we need to get those guys into the cycle of playing games and give them quality time. And we've got to get over this notion of being so scared of losing games, because I would rather see us go down in a couple of games and trying these guys out and getting the answers to the questions that we need. Because on the flip side, like we've seen with Fabian Holland and Wallace Satiti and these other guys, we see that they come into the team and they make an instant impact, and we can say, right, they're the guys that are built for international test rugby. And look at Fabian Holland now. He plays 80 minutes every week. He's probably the standout forward in the All Black pack at the moment, doing exceptionally well. Well, he got in there because he got given his opportunity to show what he can do. He proved himself, and then he stayed in the team. And that's the philosophy I'd like to see adopted with the backs. Get them in there, give them an opportunity to shine, and if they get that game where they have a breakthrough game, then that sets them on their career path. It just seems over the years that 13 jersey has been problematic for the All Blacks through a number of different generations, and it wasn't until we got Nonu and Conrad Smith in there that really started to settle down. And I'm a little bit sad that we didn't try Julian Savir at number 13. I think he would have been the man. How would Caleb Clark go at 13? He might be good in there as well. But it just seems as though we're stuck in terms of our selections and giving the options that are available time to get in there and show that they're absolutely brilliant. So I'm not saying I have the answer, I just recognise it as a problem, and we've got to find a solution, because if the All Blacks can do that, boy, they're going to be an extremely dangerous team, and they're going to really merit having that world #1 ranking. That's what I believe. So who else in the back line? We've had Quinn Tupaia. He hasn't set the world on light for me as well. They've tried him in there. He's had a couple of average games. As I said, I'm not an Anton Leonard-Brown fan anymore. I think his time is up. And yeah, it's very sad he's got injured. Of course, you never want to see a player get injured, but maybe again, through this injury, it's going to force Razor's hand to give someone a chance to get in there and prove themselves and to take that opportunity. You know, you always talk about when you're giving an opportunity to play for the All Blacks, you've got to take it with both arms, get in there, play your best game, really show that you want to own that jersey, like Fabian Holland has, like Wallace Satiti did, and really take it on. You know, I always read your comments, and a lot of people are talking about the impact of not having Cam Roigard in the team at the moment. And I agree with you. There's no doubt that he's our best halfback, and maybe with having Noah Hotham in there to come off the bench as well, the All Blacks are missing that. But I want to stay present in the now. We've got the team selection that we've got now. And again, Ratama didn't really set the world alight for me. I thought his kicking was poor in terms of getting distance and clearance for the All Blacks. He looks like he's playing under duress, and he hasn't got a lot of self-belief at the moment, so he's not doing those darting runs. He's not really pushing up to the line and setting the back line alight. He's not allowing Beauden Barrett to be deeper in attack. And that's, of course, starting off the whole offensive pattern of the All Blacks not on the right foot. And as a result of that, they're getting jammed. And against the rush defence, you saw Choco Barris and Sinti come up last weekend and really put Geordie Barrett and Billy Proctor under a lot of pressure. And if it wasn't for some of those high balls over the top the All Blacks did to Sevu Reece and Will Jordan making the break, then there would have been a very big lack of creative offensive opportunity created by the All Blacks, and it just doesn't seem that they've got that as part of their weaponry at the moment. Now, unless it's for injury cover, it seems to be pretty redundant that we're going to see a lot of new other players coming into the squad this year. So maybe for the Northern Tour we might see some change, but at the moment I think we're pretty much going to be stuck with this squad all the way through to the end of the Rugby Championship. And what impact's that going to have in those big games that we've got coming up starting this weekend? Because I think Argentina are going to be a different proposition this weekend. I think they are going to be much better because of the run. Okay, so let's look at the back line as we've got it today. We've got Ratama and we've got Finlay Christie and we've got Kyle Preston. Well, I'd love to see Kyle Preston get a go this weekend because he's the kind of guy that can be a game changer and a game breaker. What you get with Finlay Christie is what we saw last weekend. Missed tackle, telegraphing his passes, slowing down the backline distribution. So that's not the answer we need. And with Ratama not playing at a great self-belief or confident level at the moment, we're not getting much more out of him as well. Support play is very good, no doubt about it. Not only in the try that he scored, but also in other areas of the game, his support play was very good. And then moving out to 10, we've got Beauden Barrett, Damien McKenzie, and potentially Ruben Love in that 10 jersey. Well, I'd like to see Ruben Love in there because I think he's the kind of player that could ignite the back line a bit more and create space. He knows how to run well at a defence and not as flat as what Beauden Barrett is operating at the moment. So Ruben Love into 10 could really be the answer for me. And then maybe we see a different Will Jordan and Billy Proctor if Love's in there at 10, because they will be getting the ball in different angles and he'll be able to do something a little bit different to put those guys through some open space. And that's what Billy Proctor and Geordie Barrett need to have, I think, on the inside. So I'd like to see Love in there to replace Barrett, and then to see what impact that would have on Geordie Barrett and on Billy Proctor. So then we move out to the wings, and I'd like to see Leroy Carter come in. I think he could be the solution, and potentially keep Sevu Reece until Caleb Clark is ready to go again, and then maybe just see how Leroy Carter's gone in the meantime, so he's got his opportunity to shine, and then bring in Caleb Clark into the left wing, and then see whether or not Leroy Carter's the man to put on the right, or even Narawa, yeah, and try and put him there. And then at fullback, it's for me it's Will Jordan, of course, but why not try the Love scenario there and put Will Jordan back on the wing again? So those are a few things that I'm thinking at the moment in terms of what the All Blacks could do with their current inventory. And of course we've got the likes of Clark that is out injured, as I just mentioned, and he'll come back into the fray, of course. So why don't you fire away in the chat below and let me know what you think is the solution to the All Blacks backline for the moment right now. Let's not talk about players that are coming into the team from injury. Let's talk about the stocks that we've got at the moment. Who's not there that you'd like to see brought in before the end of the Rugby Championship, if anybody? And then if we're planning for the Northern Tour, who should be given an opportunity to go? So let me know your 9 through 15 for the All Black backline in the comments below. I'd really like to look at it. But yeah, let's see how they go this weekend. Let's see who's selected first of all, and then we can make another assessment. But we really need to see a step up from what we saw last weekend in Cordoba, because it was just not the level of backline play we need to see from the world #1 team that they're called at the moment, the New Zealand All Blacks. So there you go, inspired by Scott Robinson to come out and make this video after his press conference, and just thought I'd share that lot with you. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking, And I'll see you again soon to talk about some rugby championship build-up for round 2 of this year's competition. Until then, stay safe, stay well, keep enjoying your rugby. Bye for now.